Imagine a future where your reputation isn't based on what you've done, but what you will do. Temporal reputation systems represent one of the most radical concepts in social technology. Networks that measure not just your history, but your potential. They use predictive algorithms, AI-driven foresight, and probabilistic ethics models to estimate your future impact on the world, assigning you a score not for who you are today, but for who you're likely to become. It's a new kind of accountability, one that exists across time. The origins of this idea stem from the evolution of social credit systems and behavioral prediction AI. In today's world, our reputations are reactive. A person acts, society records, and then judgment follows. But what if the system could see patterns before they manifest? What if every action, every decision, every emotional impulse could be mapped into a timeline of probabilities, a dynamic chart of who you might become? That's the essence of a temporal reputation system, a predictive morality network where you're rating updates in real time based on what the future you is statistically poised to do. At its core, the technology relies on temporal data modeling, a fusion of advanced AI forecasting, quantum computation, and distributed ethics frameworks. It functions like a moral weather report. Instead of predicting rainfall or temperature, it forecasts integrity, trustworthiness, empathy, and risk. The system consumes enormous data sets, neural behavior patterns, purchasing history, decision trees from AR interfaces, communications sentiment, even physiological microsignals like eye dilation or cortisol fluctuations. From these, it constructs a probabilistic narrative, not what you've done, but the trajectory of your intent. In the world of temporal reputation systems, reputation is no longer a record of the past. It's a moving wave traveling through your possible futures. Everyone walks around with an invisible field, a quantified measure of temporal stability. If you make a decision that increases the likelihood of a harmful future, your temporal score fluctuates instantly. If you take an action that statistically improves long-term outcomes, mentoring a peer, engaging in sustainable choices, showing emotional restraint, your score rises. Society begins to organize itself not around punishment and forgiveness, but around proactive trust calibration. The social consequences of this are profound. Imagine a job interview where the employer doesn't ask about your experience. They view your temporal reputation stream. The system projects how reliable, innovative, and ethical you'll likely be over the next 5 years. Or consider relationships. Dating apps that calculate compatibility, not just based on personality, but on how your futures align probabilistically. Even governance could evolve, politicians ranked not by promises or past votes, but by predicted truthfulness over time. But as revolutionary as it sounds, the dangers are equally immense. A predictive system of morality creates a world where potential guilt becomes measurable. What happens when someone's score drops not because of what they did, but because the system believes they might act destructively? Justice systems would face ethical dilemmas never seen before. Would a person be arrested for a crime they statistically have a 78% chance of committing within the next month? Would insurance companies deny coverage to someone whose future health risks exceed threshold probability? Would citizens be allowed to vote or travel based on projected trustworthiness? To understand the architecture of such a system, we have to explore how time modeling works in advanced AI. Classical AI processes rely on static datasets, what has already occurred. Temporal AI, however, operates on recursive time layers, continuously simulating millions of potential timelines using quantum computation. Each timeline represents a slightly altered sequence of decisions and outcomes. The AI aggregates these into a coherent forecast model that updates dynamically. In simpler terms, it doesn't see one version of you. It sees thousands, constantly merging, branching, and collapsing. Now imagine integrating this into social infrastructure. Every device, camera, biometric sensor, and communication node feeds into a unified temporal reputation ledger. The ledger exists across a distributed quantum blockchain, immutable yet fluid. You can't erase your data, but you can reshape your trajectory through positive decisions. The system becomes a form of social karma, quantified and optimized through data. Governments could use it to prevent corruption. Corporations could use it to identify trustworthy employees. Communities could use it to maintain harmony, all under the illusion of fairness, until someone questions who programs the ethics. The philosophy of temporal reputation systems blurs the line between free will and determinism. If the system predicts you're 90% likely to betray a friend, do you still have the freedom not to? Or does knowing the prediction alter your behavior to fulfill or defy it? Psychologists call this the predictive feedback paradox. The very act of forecasting the future changes it. The more accurate the model becomes, the less freedom individuals feel they have, because every deviation is statistically accounted for. Paradoxically, the only way to preserve human freedom might be to introduce randomness, ethical chaos, into the algorithm itself. Let's explore a day in the life of someone living under a temporal reputation system. You wake up and check your future integrity feed. It displays your 24-hour trajectory, 95% empathy stability, 83% ethical consistency, 12% probability of minor impulsive behavior. You notice your score dipped because last night your biofeedback sensors detected stress spikes during a heated conversation. Your AI assistant recommends mindfulness training to rebalance your emotional pattern before work, not to help you feel better, but to improve your predictive reputation score. At work, your holographic ID projects a faint halo of your current temporal rating, visible to authorized parties. High scores gain automatic privileges, access to sensitive data, leadership permissions, or AI co-pilots with fewer restrictions. A low score might lock you out of critical systems or subtly alter the tone of your interactions. Your coworkers' neural interfaces display slight coolness in your direction. No one says anything directly, but everyone senses it. Reputation is now as tangible as light. Later, you apply for a loan. The financial AI calculates your repayment probability not from income, but from your future reliability coefficient. It doesn't care how much you have now. It cares how your behavior patterns statistically align with responsibility 5 years from now. You're denied, not because of your past, but because a small anomaly in your neurobehavior model suggests rising volatility. You feel punished for something you haven't even thought of doing. In the entertainment industry, celebrities and creators would live under microscopic predictive scrutiny. A singer with a high emotional variance score might lose sponsorships before any scandal occurs. A political candidate could be disqualified because the model foresees a moral decline 5 years ahead. It's the end of second chances, but also the birth of a hyper-stable world where risk and surprise are algorithmically filtered out. Society becomes smooth, eerily smooth, like a simulation where drama has been optimized away. But not everyone would accept it. Underground networks would emerge, temporal ghosters, people who reject the system by masking or scrambling their data streams. Using quantum noise injectors and bioresonance cloaks, they generate false timelines to confuse predictive AI. To the system, they appear as statistical anomalies, unreadable, unclassifiable. Governments label them temporal dissidents, while others see them as the last defenders of free will. An entire black market could arise around synthetic futures, data packages that alter your predicted trajectory to boost your reputation artificially. The act of selling better futures becomes the new identity fraud. Philosophers and ethicists would struggle to define morality in a world ruled by prediction. Is a person good because they act well, or because their algorithmic forecast says they will? And if morality is pre-calculated, is goodness still meaningful? The existential weight of knowing one's probability curves could create new forms of anxiety. Some people might become obsessed with their temporal graphs, constantly adjusting behavior to maximize approval. Others might rebel, embracing chaos as the last authentic act of self-expression. Temporal reputation systems also challenge the nature of justice. In traditional law, punishment follows proof. In this new paradigm, punishment follows probability. Pre-crime ethics would dominate legal debates. Not, did you commit it? But, were you likely to? In some nations, the system could merge with governance AI to allocate resources and privileges based on temporal integrity. Citizens with high future stability scores might get tax reductions or social perks. Those deemed unstable could face social exclusion or predictive rehabilitation. The result is a world where your future defines your rights. Yet in some interpretations, this technology could be a force for profound good. It could predict who's likely to commit acts of kindness, creativity, or heroism, and support them early. It could identify burnout before it happens, preventing tragedies. In humanitarian applications, it might forecast collective behavior trends, helping cities avoid conflict or economic collapse. A perfectly balanced temporal reputation system could serve as a guardian angel for civilization, optimizing human potential rather than suppressing it. Still, no system is neutral. Who programs the ethics? Whose moral philosophy becomes the universal template? A Western democratic model might prioritize individual freedom. A collectivist one might value harmony. Even subtle biases in data labeling, the tone of voice considered trustworthy, or the gestures flagged as aggressive, could reshape entire societies unconsciously. The code becomes culture, and culture becomes law. From a technical perspective, achieving accurate temporal prediction requires unimaginable processing power. Quantum computers capable of simulating multiversal probabilities would continuously train ethical AIs on centuries of hypothetical data. These AIs would need self-awareness not to judge outcomes blindly, but to interpret context, the difference between intent and coincidence. In the end, the temporal reputation system becomes more than a machine. It becomes a collective mind, humanity's mirror stretched across time. In that mirror, we might glimpse something unexpected. Maybe morality itself evolves. Maybe people, knowing their futures are visible, act better, not out of fear, but awareness. Like the observer effect in physics, the very act of being measured could make humanity more ethical. Perhaps this is how civilization transcends chaos, not through enforcement, but through prediction-guided reflection. Of course, the danger is overreach. Once trust becomes data, manipulation is inevitable. Political regimes could rewrite predictive parameters to suppress dissent. Corporations could tune the algorithm to reward compliance over creativity. Even personal relationships could become transactional. I can't date you, your 5-year empathy projection is too low. The social world might look peaceful, but beneath it, authenticity withers. The counter-movement, the chrono-humanists, would rise in opposition. They'd argue that unpredictability is the soul of humanity, that the right to surprise the universe is sacred. Their manifesto would read, "We are not data, we are deviation." They'd create temporal sanctuaries, unmonitored spaces where the future is left undefined. These zones might become the most precious places on Earth, not for what they contain, but for what they don't, prediction. Eventually, temporal reputation systems might integrate into daily life so completely that people stop noticing them. Children could grow up with their future trajectories displayed as naturally as heart rate or mood indicators. Society might normalize the idea that the future is transparent, and that transparency is safety. But a few would remember when the unknown was something to be cherished. In the grand timeline of civilization, every generation invents tools to measure itself. Religion, law, economics, data. Temporal reputation systems are simply the next step, a mirror not of what we are, but of what we might become. Whether that mirror enlightens us or imprisons us depends entirely on how we use it. Because the future, after all, is not just a place we go. It's a reflection of every choice we make right now. And maybe the greatest reputation of all is the one we earn not from prediction, but from the courage to remain unpredictable. Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future uploads. Your support helps this channel grow. Thank you for watching.